The new Smite accessory is in the game, and players are already starting to use it, and they're already starting to regret it. This video is going to talk about the Saddle of 1,000 Blessings, the new accessory for Smite damage that is in the game. It's in the KVK shop, and it's now in the egg. And we're going to tell you how awful this is. We did the math, we tried to understand it, and it just does not work. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chatsky. I put out videos all the time. I do streams all the time. We have a lot of fun doing this stuff in KVK. My 606 account is getting ready to queue up for some fighting next week, so you don't want to miss that. And if you like any of the videos that I do, be sure to put a thumbs up and like it. And if you're not a subscriber, it doesn't cost you anything. Subscribe to the channel. We're pushing through 36,000 subscribers now. We're going to hit 50 soon, so be a part of that community. And speaking of that community, you can join my Discord. The link is in the description. And I kept getting asked in my Discord, because that's where a lot of this stuff happens, is how good this particular accessory is. This is the Saddle of 1,000 Blessings. We got two accessories that are brand new to the game. One is for combo, that's the Hero's Hilt. Okay, we went through that. I'm going to have a card at the end screen that will go through my breakdown of this, because I think this can be very, very powerful, especially when we get more combo commanders and combo rally commanders. Now this, which is kind of weird, they're giving us a saddle for the infantry, which is Smite. That's weird. But we went through this, and the first thing we saw with this is that this has a 3% more Smite damage of all types that it does. Okay, well that's okay. But it all depends on what the other part is. And the other part is not that enticing. And let me explain. Whenever it deals any type of Smite damage, it has a 50% chance to heal itself for 5% of the slightly inflicted wounds. Okay? The slightly inflicted that you do on the enemy from the Smite damage that you do, this is not a healing factor. Now we have two different types of factors we're talking about here. Okay, you have a healing factor. Let me find my good old-fashioned Richard. Okay, Richard has a healing factor of 1,400. All right, that is really, really good. He does it every skill cycle. That's a healing factor. That factor goes into how many troops you have. Okay, when it comes to this particular artifact, or I'm sorry, the particular accessory, this is not a healing factor. Okay, this is just straight up 5% of the slight wounds you inflict. So this is a troop factor. That's what people have to understand, because I'm getting people sending me reports. They're getting this accessory. They're putting it on BQ and Luce, which should be amazing. You can't get any more Smite damage than the 5 area AoE, 5 AoE effect of BQ and a 5 area effect of Luce. It lays down more damage as a single march than any other march in the game in the field. Okay, and so when it does that, it's got a high likelihood to run up the slightly wounded it inflicts. The only problem with that is that it's only 50% of the time. Okay, and it is not a healing factor. It is a troop factor. And so what people have to understand is you really got to run up the slightly wounded to even make this thing possible in the field. And so these people are sending me reports, and it's garbage. It does not perform to the levels of other accessories. And we'll get into that in a second, but we did the math on this, okay? And I want to show you guys something. I went to a particular, report I had here. And the report is basically a really good, where is it? Here it is. It is a really, really good report of any march you run in the game that has a good report and lays down a whole bunch of slightly wounded. Now, this is an Attila Phillip, but it gives us an idea. It's just to compare. Okay, I ran this in the field for a couple of minutes, and I was able to get 374,000 slightly wounded. So that sounds good, right? Well, let's do the math on this. Okay, and when we look at this, I'm going to talk slow, and we're going to go through this so you guys understand how this thing works. Okay, so on the left, you have a duration of the fight. This is on the first sample. This fight lasted 200 seconds. Okay, Basically, this fight lasted just over 3 minutes. All right. And in those 200 seconds, I was able to do 12 active skill procs. Okay. Part of that reason is because I was going back and forth and fighting nonstop. I was going back and forth. And so I'm not going to proc this thing 20 times every 10 seconds. It's a back and forth type fighting. And I had to reset a couple of times. And so, but for the duration, just so we can kind of use it as a marker or as a baseline, for the duration of 200 seconds, I did 12 active procs. Okay. And there's that 374,000 slightly wounded that I inflicted. Okay. And so when you look at that, it compares right there, 374,000. Okay. Of the enemy. That's what we were looking at. We want to kind of hone in on this and kind of do the math on this. And we did the math. And this is what we found. The amount of troops that would be healed if I had this accessory on there is 18,716. Okay. The average troop amount, this is what people have to understand. Your average troop amount, because this is based on your troops, right? So the average troop amount that I had during that duration was about 350,000, because it started out, I started the fight obviously with 430,000, and then I ended it with 255,000. So we take an average of that over the 200 seconds, about 350,000. Okay, that's kind of how I figured that one out. So I only did that because I wanted to get an idea of the healing factor. Okay, because everything's got to be put into the factor. Everything we do when we say, hey, we inflict 50,000 sev wounds. Okay, well, what's the factor of that? When we inflict 50,000 sev wounds in a garrison or in a rally, if we do that in the field, okay, what's the damage factor to that? If we inflict that kind of, or if we have a healing factor that equals X amount of troops, we always want to know what the factor is. And so when you break this thing down, okay, at an average of 356,000 troops during the 200 seconds that I ran, getting healed at 18,000, that's not a healing factor. That's the amount of troops that would be healed. The healing factor is about 500. So basically every skill cycle, you're getting a healing factor of 500. And that's how that averages out. Okay, so for an accessory, we're talking about an in-game KVK accessory that you're gonna put and compare to, you can get it here in the accessory shop. Okay, they put this thing in here, all right? But you're gonna compare it to the horn. You're gonna compare it to the ring. You're going to compare it to Greatest Glory and the effect that has on your combo and smite damage commanders. You're literally going to try to compare this thing to drums. We've got drums right now in the egg event. I'm pulling for drums. I am not pulling for this nonsense, but you're going to compare it to drums. Like, you're giving me a 500 healing factor. That's basically what this is. That might as well be at the high side what this is. 3% more smite damage of all types and a 500 healing factor. But here's the other kicker to this, okay? If you read what this thing does, it actually makes it even worse. Okay, and that's one thing I did not account for because I just wanted to give like the best of the best scenario, that it procs every time. Okay, and every one of my slightly woundeds in that particular report is going to affect the troops that I get to heal. Okay, but it's a 50% chance, and it's only a 50% chance off of smite damage. Well, BQ and Luce do most of their damage, probably overwhelmingly most of their damage off of smite. They do have their basic attack and counterattack that they do, but they overwhelmingly do their most damage out of smite. Well, now you cut that in half by 50%. So when you come back to this report, the only amount that's even eligible to be, and this is just on a high side, the only amount that's even eligible to be used as slightly wounded that turns into the healing that you get on your troops is way less than 374,000. Let's say it's 250,000. Well, then that makes these numbers even worse. Like, this is not good. This is like awful. Do not get this accessory. Oh my gosh, because that healing factor now dips down to like 300 maybe every skill cycle. That's awful, guys. That is so bad. That's like epic commander levels of healing procs. It's unbelievably bad. And so I did this on a second report. Where's that one at? Okay, here's this one. Let me see. I think that's pretty much, nope, wrong one. That's pretty much 307 is what we're looking at. So that's this particular one. Now this was 180 seconds that I ran this report. I did 11 active procs, okay, which kind of makes sense. 200 seconds, you get 12 active skill procs, 180 seconds, I did 11. Okay, it's back and forth fighting, that's how it works. The slightly wounded I inflicted was 307. And then so my troops would heal at max efficiency, not 50%, and not just smite, but just max efficiency would be 15,000. My average troop count was 400,000, because if you look at this, when I entered the battle, okay, I have 430,000 troops, and I'm remaining at 351,000. Okay, so the average of that is about 400,000. I know it's kind of rough math, but you just got to follow me here. Okay, so the healing factor is 450. So I did this on 2 different occasions, and it makes sense. Now the hard part is the healing factor over here, way on the right, of 500 in the first report and 450 in the second. That's drastically over exaggerated, because you're just getting the healing factor off of the slightly wounded you inflict from smite damage, and it's only at 50% of the time. That's what makes this thing so awful. Do not get this accessory. Okay, it's different. This thing is different than the combo, the Delta one. The Delta one is actually, you can make an argument for, like, you can go craft this right now on the Delta, and it has given us a good chance, especially if you're going to run like Arthur with Burt or something like that. And we don't even have super powerful commanders as a partner to Arthur. Arthur's great and he's super powerful, but this thing really ramps up when you have 2 combo commanders. Well, Burt is not meta by any means, but the difference is, for the Smite one, we have BQ and LC. Like, it's insane. Like, you can't get any more powerful. And so if we can't even get this thing to work for minimal benefit of the healing, we can't even get it to work with BQ and LC, then how on earth is it's never going to work? Like, maybe in a rally or garrison, but not really if you think about it. I mean, the healing factor is just not there, because that healing factor doesn't change. At the high side, it's what, 300-400 per skill cycle healing factor? That's nothing. That's literally nothing. And so the main thing is, when you come over to the combo side of things, we don't even have combo commanders to pair right now on the rally. And this thing is going to be really, really good, because now all of a sudden this thing stacks up with a 4%. You get 4% bonus to all troops or all types of combo attack. You get the 4% with a crit, and you can stack that up to 5 times. Well, that thing just rapid fires with 2 combo commanders. It's going to get, basically, this is going to give you a pretty consistent 15 to 18% on average increase of combo damage. Well, that's great. We just don't have the commanders to do it with right now. Well, we have the commanders for Smite, and it's not great. It's awful. I don't know why they would even put this in the game. You got players asking me about it. They wanted me to do a video on it, and I'm like, all right, let me do the numbers on this thing, but it is not good. Because here's the other thing. You got to decide whether you're going to replace the drums. You're going to replace horn. You're going to replace ring. You're going to replace greatest glory. That doesn't make any sense. You're not. That's the hard part about accessories. Okay, you already have good accessories that you're using, and you have to come out with a new accessory that has to be better than the good ones you're already using. So you do not want to jack with this. And so that is, when somebody asked me to put a video about it, I did a 5-second video that said it sucks. And basically, I'm right. That's just what it is. It's not very good. Do not invest in this. It is not a very, very good accessory at all. You're not going to replace anything with it, even if you don't have any accessories. I wouldn't put the mats into this. It's 120 mats, y'all. Don't do that. For crying out loud, go get greatest glory. Go get drums. Okay, go get ring and horn. Do not mess with this. We have the best sample of commanders you can give us right now, and it's awful. Like, players are sending me reports saying this thing doesn't do anything, and it really doesn't. So if you have it made, I guess you can keep it. You might want to dismantle it eventually, but they need to rework this or figure something out, because this 5% of slightly wounds you inflict, you get that in healing, that healing quote unquote factor, how that translates into healing factor, is so low that it is lower than epic commanders with their proc healing. That's how bad that thing is. And so with that being said, that's my charge to everybody in Proclamation. Do not jack with that particular accessory. It doesn't work. If you're going to get any of the new accessories, look at the combo one, especially when we start getting more combo commanders. That will ramp up in the value and it will be really, really good. And so with that, hope everybody has a great day. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. I'll be in the comments if you want to drop a comment down there and ask questions. Also, my Discord's a great place to ask these questions. The Discord link is in the description, so you guys can open up the conversation about this, but I don't think there's much argument with this, much debate at all, because after you run through the numbers, it's just an awful accessory and nobody needs to ever touch it. So with that, y'all have a great day, broskies.